Russia's glide bomb campaign has been the single most consistent source of Ukrainian tactical pain for the past 2 years. FAB and KAB bombs equipped with UMPK guidance kits, turning standard unguided munitions into precision weapons with inertial and satellite navigation, have been launched from Su-34 and Su-35 platforms operating at standoff distances that keep them outside the range of most Ukrainian air defenses. Flying low-altitude trajectories that ground-based radars cannot reliably track until impact is seconds away, these weapons have systematically destroyed Ukrainian defensive positions, fortifications, supply nodes, and urban infrastructure in quantities that no other Russian weapon system has matched. The one thing that has kept this campaign intact, the one assumption on which every Russian bomber pilot's survival calculus has rested, is that Ukraine cannot see the launch platforms before they release. As of June 2025, that assumption is no longer valid. What follows is the strategic accounting of what Sweden's Saab 340 AEW&C aircraft is doing to Russia's glide bomb campaign, not through direct engagement, but through the cascade of behavioral changes it is forcing on every Russian air commander who now has to plan operations knowing the Saab 340 may already be watching. Of the standoff distance problem, how pushing bombers further from the front degrades accuracy in ways that accumulate across thousands of sorties. Of the economic pressure, Russia's Su-34 and Su-35 platforms are not replaceable at the rate the Saab 340 is threatening them. And of the broader strategic question that the Saab 340's arrival has opened, what does a Russian air campaign look like when its primary precision strike platform can no longer operate with impunity in its own airspace? But the strategic story begins with a single engagement that confirmed the Saab 340's operational status and changed the assumptions of every Russian pilot still flying glide bomb sorties. In June 2025, a Russian Su-35 was scrambled to intercept Ukrainian F-16s conducting bombing sorties over northeastern Ukraine and the Kursk region. The pilot flew toward the Ukrainian formation. The Saab 340, already airborne and scanning, had detected the Su-35 the moment it left its base. Its PS-90 AESA radar, capable of tracking 1,000 airborne targets simultaneously from 280 miles, fed the Su-35's position, altitude, and heading in real time to Ukrainian air controllers. A Ukrainian F-16 pilot received the targeting picture, maneuvered into intercept position, and fired an AIM-120. The Su-35, an $85 million air superiority fighter that Russia cannot produce at scale, crashed 10 miles inside Russian territory. The pilot ejected. The plane was gone. Russia's response in the days that followed was not doctrinal adjustment. It was silence, and then, according to the German newspaper Bild, whose reporting first confirmed the kill, a quiet reassessment of how its air assets were being deployed near the front. That reassessment is the strategic consequence that matters most. Because the Saab 340 does not need to destroy Russian aircraft to achieve its strategic purpose. It needs to make Russian pilots uncertain. And uncertainty, in air warfare, is a force multiplier for the defending side. Quick note, you're watching I Am Brief. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. The mechanism through which uncertainty degrades Russia's glide bomb campaign is geometric and cumulative. Russia's bombers launch their FAB and KAB weapons from standoff distances calibrated to keep them outside the engagement range of Ukrainian surface-to-air missile systems and the self-protection range of Ukrainian fighters. That calibration was based on the assumption that Ukraine's detection capability had a ceiling, that at sufficient range, the bomber was effectively invisible until the weapon was already airborne and on trajectory. The Saab 340's 280-mile radar range exceeds the standoff distances Russia has been using. A Russian bomber preparing a glide bomb run is detectable by the Saab 340 not just at launch, but before it reaches its release point, during the approach phase, when its position and probable mission profile can already be inferred and acted on. Faced with this new detection geometry, Russian air commanders have a narrow set of responses. They can push bombers further back from the front, beyond the Saab 340's effective engagement chain range, but doing so extends the glide bomb's flight time and reduces its guidance accuracy. Longer flight means more GPS drift, more time for Ukrainian electronic warfare to interfere with guidance signals, and a larger impact dispersion. They can lower the bomber's release altitude, dropping closer to the terrain to reduce radar visibility, but doing so constrains the bomb's glide range and again degrades its ability to strike precise targets at depth. They can increase the pace of launches to overwhelm the kill chain, but the Saab 340's ability to track 1,000 simultaneous targets provides significant headroom before saturation becomes a viable counter. None of these responses recovers the operational situation Russia had before June 2025. All of them except some degree of permanent capability degradation. The economic dimension compounds the strategic one. Russia's Su-34 and Su-35 platforms are not consumer goods. The Su-35, as noted, costs approximately $85 million per airframe. Russia's defense industrial base has demonstrated limited ability to produce these platforms at a pace that keeps up with attrition. Each aircraft lost to the Saab 340's targeting chain is one fewer precision strike platform in the Russian inventory, and each aircraft that survives by operating further from the front is delivering reduced effectiveness per sortie. The Saab 340 is simultaneously raising the cost of maintaining the glide bomb campaign and reducing the return on each sortie that continues. That is not a manageable trend for a military whose ground offensive depends on the glide bomb campaign to suppress Ukrainian defensive capacity along the front. But Russia's glide bomb problem is not exceptional. It is the rule of what happens when a tactical advantage built on an adversary's detection gap is suddenly eliminated. The pattern repeats across operational history: the introduction of any new sensor capability that closes a previously exploitable blind spot forces the side that depended on that blind spot to either find a new approach or accept the degradation. Russia has found no new approach since June 2025. Its electronic warfare response, continuous improvements to UMPK guidance systems to counter Ukrainian jammers, addresses the weapon survivability after launch but does nothing about the survivability of the platform before launch. The Saab 340 is not attacking the bomb. It is attacking the bomber. And that is a fundamentally harder problem for Russia to solve. The Ukrainian Telegram channel Ukraine Fights captured the operational imperative clearly after the Su-35 kill: the Saab 340 must be camouflaged and protected as carefully as possible. Ukraine has only two. One successful Russian strike on either aircraft removes an irreplaceable strategic asset from the theater. The operational security around these platforms is understood to be extremely tight: Western basing, frequent airfield rotation, no public sortie information. Video footage from March 2026 confirmed at least one of the aircraft remains operational and active. And with Sweden's October 2025 pledge of up to 150 Saab JS-39 Gripen E-TEF fighters pending delivery, the long-term direction of travel is clear. The glide bomb campaign that has sustained Russia's ground offensive is operating on borrowed time against a detection architecture that is only going to expand. The question Russia cannot answer now is not whether the Saab 340 changes its air operations. The question is what its air operations look like when there are 150 Gripens operating beneath the radar coverage the Saab 340 is already providing. If you want to see the technical architecture behind the kill chain the Saab 340 anchors, check out our systems breakdown. And if you want to understand what the full Gripen integration does to Russia's available airspace over the contact line, our air war analysis will give you the complete picture. Subscribe to Iron Brief so you never miss what comes next.